Welcome, everybody, to the Restaurant Wealth Podcast. My name is Michael Contras, and I am a restaurant coach. And this show is built for independent restaurant owners just like you who are done just surviving in the restaurant, and they're actually ready to build a restaurant that actually pays them. Today, my guest is Al Kanbar. He is the founder of Silver Spoon MIA in Miami, Florida. He is also a restaurant coach. He's a franchise consultant, and he's a really good guy. And he's been in this industry since 1987. He's helped launch the Impossible Whopper for Burger King, the chicken sandwich for Popeyes, and he's worked with multiple operators all across the Middle East, Europe, and the United States. Al and I actually connected through social media. We're two restaurant coaches with two slightly different methods, but we're all about results. We're all about profits. And I think this type of dynamic is going to make a really valuable conversation for anybody listening who's on the fence whether restaurant coaching is worth it for them. Al, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Michael. It's been a pleasure to connect with you. And I'm looking forward for this podcast. And we're here. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. So let's start from the beginning. Let's go way back. So your history is you were flipping burgers at a burger spot, right? Back in the days. And then after that, see, I did my research on you. I was stalking you, right? So you were flipping burgers at a burger place. You studied hospitality. You opened up your own restaurant. Then you eventually started working with Burger King when you launched the Impossible Whopper, and then Popeyes with the chicken sandwich. So kind of walk me through that journey of how somebody goes from burger spot to working with one of the biggest QSRs in the world.
So I was in college and I had to pay my tuition. And the only way is to work as across the street as a burger place. And we were flipping burgers and chicken sandwich and steak sandwich. And I opened my first place. Unfortunately, wasn't successful. So we partnered up with, I used to play basketball. So we partnered up with my coach and two other people. And we opened 24/7 restaurant back in Beirut, Lebanon, 250 seat, 24/7. It was beautiful. And then I got the opportunity to travel. I worked in South Africa for a concept. And then we opened our own consulting job. We had people like KFC. My partner was super strong. And I moved back to Middle East, where I was operation manager for Johnny Rockets in Middle East. We opened all over the places from Egypt to Saudi to Bahrain to Qatar, Kuwait, and all over the places. And when I came to the state, I worked with some celebrity chefs. I helped her open her location in Miami, and it was amazing. And I got hired by Starbucks. I love coffee, not Starbucks. So I got hired by Starbucks. I was operation manager for Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and Fort Worth Airport. And we go from there to Pizza Hut just before Burger King and Yum Group. I was area coach for Broward for the county. And then we went down to Burger King just before COVID. I was the lead district manager for Miami metro area. Impossible Whopper came in, so we worked on the Impossible Whopper. Then we worked with the chicken sandwich, and we had lots of stuff in between cracked egg and fresh chicken, and all those stuff. Unfortunately, COVID hit, and this is where I decided to move out on my Silver Spoon era. I started just before Burger King, but unfortunately, I didn't have the customer. I had slight of knowledge, not the full knowledge I have it today. I wish I knew what knew today. COVID hit. COVID was hard, was super good because we developed some local concept from 2 locations. Today they have almost 38 locations, and we work with another 9 location concept. They jumped their sales from almost $18 million to $34 million. We almost doubled their sales. I'm always been local. I love being local. But again, when I start speaking at the expo at FRLA, New York Restaurant Show, Texas, and California, I start going away from my Miami area. I love Miami. It's always sunny. It's always beautiful. But there's some other places I have to be. And
Right.
we grow up. Luckily, it's not an easy. You know how people are.
Yeah.
And in today era of time, restaurants are struggling big time. My Burger King, it was my, if you want to say, my MBA of my business, so of my knowledge. So this is where I get my last everything on I needed. And then I moved on. Yes, I did some courses in Babson, in FIU, in Miami-Dade. And recently I did 10,000 small business, which is, I have a growth plan. It took some of my time. But again, as a coach, we, Michael, me and you, we know you always need to be learning.
Yes.
And on top of that, you need to have a mentor. Yes, we are coaches, but I have business advisor and I have business coach because in order to move on, I need support. I need someone who thinks different than me to guide
Yes.
me to do the right thing. And this is where me and you, we almost, connected to see
Hmm.
how we can help each other and how to grow. In
Exactly.
other way, people like us, they don't connect. They'll be fighting.
Hmm.
For
Yeah.
us, it was genuine. It was amazing because we learn, we help, and we grow.
Yep. Yeah. We all grow together. We all learn together. We all bounce ideas off each other. That's the way to grow. Everybody
Exactly.
grows together. Yeah. There's no competition. Even I tell my clients too with restaurants, you don't really have competition. Everybody learns from each other, whether you know it or not.
100%.
So Al, so you open up your first restaurant in 2000, right? So
Yes.
what did actually owning and operating your restaurant, what did that teach you? And how do you use those skills to like what do you still use today that you teach your clients from what you learned in your restaurant?
I was talking to one of my customers 2 days ago, and we were talking about the chef is going up to the market and buying the food and coming back. And I told my client, I said, I learned it hard way. I used to go out from my restaurant to go buy grocery and stuff during the day. And that's where I failed because your job is to be in the restaurant. You need to oversee, you are a commander and those your team. You need, for sure, they need the leadership. If the leadership go out for a half an hour or an hour every day, what happened? Everybody start moving around and no one knows what the hell is going on. And I, and one of my restaurants that I opened, it was a small restaurant, it wasn't big. It was chicken subs and stuff like that. And I had one partner. My partner was like an angel investor, and I was doing all the other stuff. But I started going out to buy grocery, to buy glasses, to if I need something, and I kept someone else that I trusted. But unfortunately, he wasn't me. So things was start going, you know, in a wrong direction. And this is where I believe that's the first lesson. If you own your restaurant, yes, you need to be there for your customer, for your team, in order to see the success going on.
Yeah, that ties into I so many of my clients, they're so proud that they go to Restaurant Depot themselves. I have clients when I first sign them up, they will go every day to Restaurant Depot. They spend like 1 or 2 hours a day in Restaurant Depot, which brings me to the point of, you know, obviously it's cheaper than, Cisco or US Foods, but that's the big pitch, right? Like I have to go there, I'm saving like $50 every time I go there. I'm saving $100. But the next question I ask them is, do you know your food cost? Do you know what your food cost percentage is? And nobody does. They don't. But if you know your food cost, you're going to be able to maneuver around pricing and, portion control, all that stuff if you just know your food costs. So people just think they're going to Restaurant Depot, I'm saving money, but there's so many more moving gears to that than just saving money at Restaurant Depot. Like you said, you have to be at your restaurant. Like you have to be there. Systems start falling apart, you know?
You know, you go to Restaurant Depot. If you're buying milk, how much milk you buy? 10 gallons? 20 gallons? How much did you save? $1 per gallon, that's $20. I'm not talking about of the gas you will put to make your trip to there. But what about your value time? What about your hourly cost? Because that's where people don't understand. Yeah, I saved $20. $20 versus you leave your restaurant and go there
Hmm.
for an hour or hour and a half. That's not saving. You are exhausted. No one take care of the restaurant and you don't know what's happening. And you come back like chicken without head. You don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
You know, in a recent survey, they said there is more than 8,500 restaurants in Miami-Dade County. So imagine. all those people go to Jetro, or 50% of them go to Jetro. What's the traffic? How much they save, and what's the return that they will make it? So that's what people doesn't understand it.
Yeah. You know, so many people don't know that Restaurant Depot delivers as well. You pay a little bit more, but they deliver. People are still stuck on I'm saving $50, I'm saving $100. I told a client this week that they go to Restaurant Depot. I'm like, if you don't go to Restaurant Depot and you're in your restaurant for an hour, how many Instagram videos can you make? How many times can you post in that hour? Just sit in your office, lock the door. That's going to bring you customers. Going to Restaurant Depot is not going to necessarily bring you customers at all.
Create 2 recipes.
Yeah, anything.
Check your sales. Check your top 5 seller item, your top 5 margins. People doesn't understand, and I heard it was one of my clients, because whenever someone brings something new, everybody will go and eat it. And this gentleman, he brought tuna, seared tuna, to sandwich and salad and burgers, everything. Now it has seared tuna. It's nice. And I'm talking to him, said, yeah, I'm doing amazing. We're selling 30, 40 portion per day. I said, wow, that's interesting. What's your cost on it? Oh, no worry, it's like $3 per portion. I said, that's not a valuable item to know it's $3. Yeah, every piece costs us $3. I said, let's go see it. So we go to the kitchen. We ask the chef to do one of those plates. She put 2 portions. So it jumped from $3 to $6. How much he sell it? For $14. So by here, there is 50% food cost
Yep.
average.
Yeah.
So when we calculate the food cost, is 76%. He's happy. So every time customer come over, pay $14, that gentleman pays $7 from his pocket.
Yep. Same. I have a similar story with a client that owns a steakhouse. He was paying a butcher to come in full time working to cut steaks by hand. And
Wow.
I'm like, is he measuring them? No, he's been doing it for like 20 years, whatever. 12-ounce steaks. I'm like, go in the kitchen, grab a bunch of steaks and weigh them. Just write everything down. Nothing was 12 ounces. They were from 14 ounces. Some were up to 18 ounces. And these are like ribeyes, expensive. So, and his food cost for a steakhouse is high anyways to begin with. So this even brought it even higher. So I'm like, you're not really making money on these steaks. You're probably breaking even, if that, on these. It's very important. Knowing your food costs, knowing your numbers is very, very important.
Know your numbers.
Yeah.
That's what I trust. And this morning we were in a discussion with a client of mine, and she asked me, why should I know my numbers? I wanna see how can I profit without knowing my data. I said, look, you cannot do anything without data. You have data, you know what to do. And we need to create food cost. I said, food cost is your food cost. She told me, yeah, but I want to put the labor, I want to put everything. I said, this is not food cost. You need to start by food cost. Okay. So we grab paper and sheet, and we start paper and pen, and we start writing down. She told me, no. I want to know how much it costs me so I know how to price it. I said, okay, that's production. Now, if you want to know your proper food cost, you need to know how much you're selling it, and you adjust it after that. Some people, it's not they don't understand it, they don't know it, or they never been experienced it,
Mm-hmm.
and they believe they're saving money by go to Costco to buy 20 gallon and saving $20. That's kind of things. So I believe our job, Michael, is to educate people before
There's no,
anything else.
yeah, there's no restaurant college. There's no restaurant college, but there's restaurant coaches. That's us.
Yes,
And, people will learn the hard way. And sometimes they'll learn the hard way for like 30, 40, 50 years. And other people kind of wake up and they're like, listen, I need help. I need a mentor.
100%.
Yeah. So Al, you've worked all over the world internationally, right? Middle
Yes.
East, Europe, Miami. Most coaches work one market, like their whole career, right? And so how do you see restaurants across different cultures, and in different countries? How do you diagnose the solution to a problem if they have a similar problem? Like, for example, somebody in the Middle East will have the same exact problem as somebody with the same exact concept in like Nebraska, but culture is different, right? In the Middle East than in America. So how do you diagnose this? How do you solve this?
You scares me, because today I was talking to someone in Omaha, in Nebraska. I don't know, you sent it to me or no. Look, I believe it's four walls, same employees, same customers, and it rotates. I can tell you something from Far East, Philippines, Sri Lanka, and all these places where McDonald's doesn't serve Big Mac, they serve Fish Mac, and they have rice on their menu. Philippines, Jollibee, where they do have the burger chain, people stand in line and the line goes super fast. They have people problem, they have product problem, they have leadership problem, they have problem. At the end, we're human. We have boss problem, we have pet problem, we have even wife problem and kids problem and all kind of problems. And we don't want another problem in our life. So the most common issue is training,
Hmm.
because in every piece of the world there's a manager, and unfortunately this manager is not underestimated, is they didn't give it their proper position, because many people hire the manager know what he's doing or she's doing, so the manager goes to the restaurant and the restaurant owners did not give any instruction. Mike, you're my manager, you have full green light to do whatever you want. And Mike goes and start working, and make sure that he deliver every spit and bit. And he busted himself there to make sure the restaurant start delivering. And Mike friend came over, said, "Hey, look, your buddy Al is not doing good job because this is not how they do it." And unfortunately, even the restaurant owner is oriented or is knowledgeable or his first business, he get offended and say, "Hey, Mr. Manager, why you doing that? I never told you to do that." As a manager get frustrated because no guidance, no training, nothing being give out, and he put all the hours and all the time and all the efforts to make it as he knows, and then it's not welcomed. What happened? This is where the clash starts, and this is where the problem all over the world. People hire people because I have $2 million. I want to open, a business for my son, or someone raised $250,000 and she want to open a business for her, or someone else is coming and he want to do an investment business visa and he open restaurant. All of those people doesn't have the experience of running this business, and that's all over the world. The
Yeah.
most common
That's
language.
you're absolutely right. Me and my wife, we just came back from vacation in the Caribbean. We went to a very high-end restaurant. It was a very expensive restaurant. So we walked in and it was beautiful. They must have spent $5 or $6 million in this restaurant at least. And
Wow.
before we even sat down, I told my wife, I'm like, why don't we cancel dinner like 2 nights down the road and come back to this place again before we even sat down? That's how beautiful it was inside. It reminded me of like some Greek island or something. It was this beautiful restaurant inside. And it was the worst service we've ever gotten, ever. They actually kicked us out of our table because we were sitting there too long. They're like, 45 minutes is max, you have to leave. And I'm like, we just spent $400 for two people. And by the end of the night, we're like, we are never coming back here again. This was the worst service ever. The worst because they weren't trained. You can tell the servers weren't trained. They didn't know the menu. They just came over. What do you want to drink? What are you going to eat? They took our order and then they just didn't come back again after. And I was, this place can, and it wasn't even that busy. I was like, this place can be packed every night, every night. We went to another restaurant the next day. It was booked 2 weeks out. We had to make the reservation a month before we got there. But this place did it right. They had the hospitality, they had the service, they did everything right, everything correct, everything. I'm like, this is why this place is packed. And it wasn't a $5 or $6 million restaurant at all. It was just
I
some
will
like,
ask you a
yeah,
question. If the food is good, but the service is bad, will you come back?
no, because you remember the service. You don't remember the food.
What about the service is good and the food is bad? Will you come back?
Yeah, not necessarily. No.
So you see, it's double sword. Service is and the back of the house and front of the house. The service and the uh, food has to be both of them at the minimum level, and that's a problem with people. You know, And I go to restaurant, I've been going for longer, and I don't the waiters, they don't bring me the menu. So in 2, 3 months, I'm going, let's say once a week, me and my wife and or the family, and we go, we have supper, we have dinner, we have everything. What happened if they added a new item on the menu? I will not know about it. What happened if they have something special or they announce something? I don't know about it. And people take client and customers for granted. Okay. And nowadays, it's not like before because everything on social media and you know by the things more than that. And someone came to me like on the weekend, I believe Friday, and she was telling me, you know this restaurant? I said, yeah, I know it. Don't tell me you go there. She told me yes. And she's an older woman in real estate, and she's been like 50 years in real estate. You know, everybody knows her. She's not celebrity, she's almost celebrity. And I said, why did you go there? It's far away from your destination. And she tells me every time I'm on social media, it come out. I went the first time, the food wasn't good, the service was, but I said maybe I came to the wrong time. So I went the second time, everything's still the same.
Mhm.
I told her, you know something? That means their social media is working. They're getting people out of the
Exactly.
door. But
Yeah.
the problem is they're not executing.
Imagine nailing training, hospitality, and social media. That's,
Wow.
you know,
That's
that's
$40
all
million
three
restaurant.
percent. So bluntly speaking, every restaurant, in my opinion, needs a restaurant coach. This is my opinion. Every restaurant, especially independent restaurants, they all need coaching, all of them, because they're either handed down generation to generation, or people, they have this, they're great cooks and they want to open up a restaurant, and then they get into the restaurant. They're like, cooking is great, but then there's a whole business side to it that they had no idea even existed. I tell my clients all the time, I'm like, if you want to be better at like tennis, you hire a tennis coach. Same thing, golf. You hire a golf instructor. Somebody's better than you in golf. And restaurants are really no exception, right? So Al, you've worked with mom and pop shops, right? Turnaround restaurants, guys that want to scale giant, and then restaurants that do like huge numbers. What which restaurant type is the hardest to coach, in your opinion?
Wow. Look, when the owner is inside the frame, you know, and that's you see it clearly.
You mean like when they're actually like an employee, when they're actually like the cook?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I
There's no
agree.
enthusiasm. Okay. You know, and the problem, those owners know they can do it alone. And funny thing, I didn't tell you this one, and I can say it here. I went to a restaurant, and I got a lead from a customer of mine, from a friend of mine. I just put the note here. I have it on my screen. So the guy came out and we're talking. He said, "Oh, I don't need your coaching." I said, "Fair enough. I don't need. But can I ask you some questions?" I said, "Sure. What do you think about this? What do you think about that?" I don't mind. At least I'm knowing the guy, see how it goes. And out of sudden, I said, "No, you need to look deep dive. You need to have your menu. You need to have your manuals, use SOP." And he said, "This is how it is. So I don't need you." I said, fair enough. What do you need? He said, I will upgrade my chat GPT and I'll get all these stuff for free. I said,
Okay.
perfect. Go for it. But the
Yeah.
problem, look, in our days, it was dictionary, encyclopedia, whatever it was. And then it came Google. Now we are in the era of ChatGPT and Claude. But if you go to Webster or you go to ChatGPT or to Google and you ask for the definition of service, you will get a reply to work, to minister, to sit on a table or a meal, or to manage or work, to deliver or transmit. But you know where's the problem? Webster, ChatGPT, Google, all these open cloud, all these stuff, they never serve, they never work in the
Right.
proper environment. You can go to YouTube, you learn everything, you can be coachable, but there's no coach to hold you accountable. There's no
Of
one
course.
to work you out. And that's where the hardest person, okay, he believes he knows everything. And all of a sudden, you see them failing. And you know exactly what they're failing. I'm not genius. You're not genius. We're not gurus. But we saw it over and over and over. When people are stubborn, that means, you need to move out, or it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, Al, my clients, this is a non-negotiable for all my clients. They have to submit a report to me every Sunday. It's called the Weekly Wealth Report. It's a two-pager. They have to submit it to me Sunday by midnight. Whoever doesn't submit it, they don't have a coaching call that week. It's
Amazing.
skipped. This is accountability. 100%. 100%. Some
I call it
people,
the weekly scorecard. The same
yeah, yeah.
scenario, you see?
Some people will miss two weeks in a row, and they're like, "But I'm paying you." And I said, "Yeah, you're paying me to hold you accountable. This is exactly why you're paying me right here. So I'll
Do
see you
your
next
job.
week." Yeah, yeah. But you were telling that story, and it reminded me of a guy that called me. He wanted help, and I didn't take him. First of all, he didn't want to pay, but I wouldn't have taken him as a client anyways. But he was the only employee in his restaurant. He was doing all the cooking. It was a takeout place. It was a Greek place. He was doing all the cooking. He was taking all the orders, all the phone orders, and he was also the delivery guy too. So he would take a delivery. He would close the door, and he would go drive the delivery, and then come back and take more orders. And he was so proud of doing this. And I was like, man, there's no way I can help you. There's no way. Just file bankruptcy right now. There's no way. It's
That's
impossible.
insane.
Yeah.
That's it's called recipe to fail.
Yeah. Yeah. What what do you think is the number one non-negotiable for a restaurant to start moving the needle for every restaurant? What does every restaurant have in common
Look,
for a non-negotiable?
we want the owner to buy in here and to get in and to be hands on. But there is something, as we spoke throughout the time. If you go to the army, there's a commander. The commander has the smallest gun, has a pistol,
Yep.
and everybody have big armors and huge guns and drive big cars. If the commander is not on the side, and that's what we were talking over and over, if the leader is not existed, there's nothing. And consistency beat motivation and beat perfection, because you will do it over and over and over and over. Every morning you need to wake up, you need to wipe the window, you need to open the door, take out the garbage at night. It's consistent, and it's the hardest job in the planet, is to be a restaurant owner. But if you don't have this passion in your heart, you'll not be successful. I will not be able to work with you, will not be able to move forward. Imagine someone is has to be inside the restaurant because this is his parents' legacy. But this person would love to DJing, or would love to nightlife or whatever. So imagine if he is in a breakfast era or the breakfast restaurant. There's no enthusiasm, there is no passion, there is no care. It's dead. And within 2 weeks, I'm sure there's nothing to come out. The restaurant will fail. So we want people to be in the restaurant, love what they're doing, because if they don't love what they're doing, it's boring.
Exactly.
And it's so hard, because you need to be the psychologist, you need to be the shoulder to cry on, you need to be the one who solves the problem, you need to be multitasking, you need to project, you need to have the crystal ball and read the future to see how many customers are coming and how many bills you have to pay. So it's an exhausting job. I love it, you know. I was successful in it. And now I believe my time to help people who needed my help and who are taking this help to move forward. And you have those people, he call you, hey, 911 call. I tell, what's your emergency? And I laugh. And they told me, oh, I had a cook call out. I said, look, this is not an emergency. If you had a flood, if you had fire, if you had someone inside, if you had, those are 911 calls.
Right.
The cook didn't show up. Why the cook didn't show up? You didn't treat your cook well, so the cook will buy in. And I know some people, they've been working on the same job for the same stuff, for the same salary. Okay, they got some increase for the last 5, 6, 10 years. They love their job because they love their bosses. And I don't like to use bosses, but they love their owners, because the owner is taking care of them and they're taking care of the business. And those people, They're happy where they are. If they are a server, if they are a cashier, bartender, barista, whoever they are, they love what they're doing. And this is where they move forward. And I'm sure you have same experience,
Yeah.
same experience.
I mean, you can see the transition, because the owner has to change obviously their mindset, and there's a whole culture change that has to happen. But you see from the beginning of the owners being miserable and not want to be there. And how many clients did you have that say, what's the number one problem? No one comes to work and no one shows up to work. And as soon as somebody says that, I know immediately they're full of C and B players. Immediately I know that when they say people don't come to work. But when a restaurant is filled with A players, A and B players, mostly A players, calling off is we don't even talk about that anymore. That's not even an issue. That's and I tell my clients all the time, I'm like, do you remember what you used to say to me every single meeting we would have? Every Monday, what would you tell me? You would say, blah 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 didn't come to work today. And this guy didn't come to work today. You'd start every meeting with that. I go, we haven't talked about that in months. And they're like, because nobody calls off anymore. I'm like, this is exactly why you need A players. You have to get rid of all the C players. Make the B players A players. You're never gonna have this issue ever again. I've experienced it in my own restaurant for sure. 100%. I have all A players. Like we never talk about somebody didn't come to work. And if they don't come to work, they take care of it themselves. It's just what A players do.
Yes. You know, just on that, uh, there's a book. I don't know if you know about it. For Ron Clark, it said, "Move your bus." Okay, if you did, have you ever read it?
No, no, no.
Okay, that's your Christmas gift. I have you.
Okay.
You have the Christmas gift. So it's metaphor of a bus to categorize employees and accelerate the organization's success on high performers. And this is what Ron Clark do it. And he's a principal. He doesn't have anything a restaurant. So if you have your A player, imagine a bus and I have a bus here.
Mhm.
That's an advertisement. That's one of my clients. So you have a bus and you have people who are in front and they're running. And you have the second row people are working. The third row people are standstill. The fourth are sitting down and the fifth are pulling back. If you want to improve 10%, okay, on your team, who is the best one to invest those 10%? You know, the high performers is they're doing 90%, they're winning 99%. And the one who's pulling you back to the truck or the bus, if they're doing negative 10%, you will move negative. You'll be at zero. So there's no improvement. Yes, there's improvement. But the frontliner, this is where you need to go because those your A player, if you take care of them, as you said, they will run faster and they'll push everybody to run with them because that's how it move out and that's how you move your bus.
Yeah, and A players, they make substantially more money than normal, uh, employees in a restaurant. I tell all my clients like, how much you want to pay this guy? $20. No, pay him 25. Pay him 26. Then they're unpoachable. People come
Yes,
into the restaurant all the time. They want to hire, a server or a cook. They're not gonna be able to touch them at all. They'll tell them, "Oh, I'll pay you 21," and they're like, "No, I'm making 25 here, 26." They're not going anywhere. So you have
and
that, and then you have a great boss, you have a great
yes,
culture in your restaurant. They're not going anywhere at all. So that's something you don't have to even talk about is people not coming to work. That's
100%. And those people will always be there
mhm,
because those are
always.
your loyal people. And
They
this
have your
is
back.
where, God forbid anything happen, they will do the extra mile. They'll not bounce back.
Yeah. Al, so you and I both, we both promise 5 to 7% profit within 90 days with coaching with us, right? So this is a big, bold statement, okay? So tell us what has to happen inside of a restaurant for 5 to 7% profit to happen in 90
Okay.
days. Like, what are you
Is it the
fixing first?
magic?
What's the big hole that you're going to fix first?
Is, is it the magic? Do we do magic here? It's not the magic. It's very simple. It's very simple. And, you know, it's a mess. If your labor scheduling leak, proportional control drift, supplier, your supplier prices that nobody negotiated for the last 2 years, a menu with 40 menu items that only 12% that do 80% of the revenue, The money is already there. You just bring it up. Yes, you can save on the processing, you can save on everything else.
Al, what's the easiest hole to plug? What's the easiest? Right
Menu,
away. What is
menu,
it? Menu?
menu. You know, when you start categorizing your dog, your puzzle, your horse, and your stars, you know where it is. And there's some people have money on the shelves, or some people prepare big portion of grits, but the grits doesn't sell. It's not too expensive, but on a daily basis, it will cost money. Your labor. If you terminated one person, one busser or runner or anything, that's $70,000 saving, and you don't need this person. And the simple way I do it, I look at the schedule, and I look at the prime time. I look all the details that goes on. If you take off half an hour from the morning employee and half an hour from the evening employee,
Exactly.
it's an hour. 35 employees, 10 employees. End of the week, that's how much? End of the
Yeah.
year, that's how much?
Yeah, end of the month. Yeah. Big numbers.
So that's the simple stuff. If you look at your menu and you start looking what the high most item are selling, what's your big five margins menu generator? You know, McDonald's, what they promote? Big Mac. Burger King, Whopper. Why? They don't have something else? They had all the Mac chicken, the Mac fish, the chicken waffle, all these stuff.
Yeah.
It's Big Mac. They have quarter pounder is more delicious. Whopper, they have the pounder is more delicious, but it's always Whopper.
Hmm.
It's simple. Lettuce, tomato, pickles,
Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
and this is where they make money. Pizza Hut. Thank you for calling Pizza Hut. We'd like to try our specials. Two topping 12. They're not saving money, but they have two topping 12.99. It's engraved in their brain. That's how they go. This is how you save your money. Look at your 80% of the revenue where it's come from, and the rest is easy. You see, it's
Yeah.
magic.
Yeah. The one of the first things I do with my clients is right away I ask them, do you do online ordering? Yeah, I do. Okay, let's check out your online ordering. And then, they have Grubhub and Uber, and probably 75% of the people, are your prices increased on Grubhub or DoorDash? No. Okay, do you know your food costs? No. Okay, so you're probably losing money on all these orders. And oh, we're so busy and we have so many Grubhub orders and so many Uber and I'm like, you're running your staff to the ground. This is that you're killing your staff for nothing. And this is a thing that I see. It's so common with everybody. So common. And this is a big hole that I plug early. Right away, I'm like, turn off your Grubhub, turn off your Uber. Like we have to figure something out right away. A lot of times that's our first assignment with a client is getting that all fixed because that's a huge money leak, and then we'll start
100%.
working on things. Yeah. So, Al, give me a real life example, and I'll tell you mine as well. For a before and after, like walk us through like a real client, what their restaurant looked like before you had them, and then like when you started with them, and then after like 90 days or 120 days. Like give me an example of someone that you had.
I'll give you one of the worst story, and I believe we spoke about it earlier. I got a call to come and see a restaurant. I said, okay. And if I go to see your restaurant, I'll go have a meal with my family and I will pay. Okay. Even though you're not my customer,
Hmm.
you cannot invite me. I need to live the experience. So we had three calls, and then I went to the restaurant. And that's the worst story. Okay. I'll have a better one in a few. And the owner were waiting outside of the restaurant. It was Friday night. I say, hey, how's everything? And I told them everything is good. I love the food. There are some points I already took notes. My wife and my kids know about me, so they are already in the,
Hmm.
you know, in the mood. So let's talk on Monday. And the wife looked at me and said, "Hey, I have something." I said, "Okay, tell me." Receive a letter. I said, "What kind of letter?" "All from the owners." I said, "Are you late on payment?" "Yes." I said, "Okay. We can discuss it on Monday." "Oh, we have 1 week." I said, "When did you receive it?" "Today." I said, yes, we can talk on Monday. No, it's 3 days. I said, 3 business days. How much do you own them? If you own something manageable, 10, 20, 25, I can get, loan, credit card loan, whatever for the business because the business is generating 1.8, $2 million. And she tells me $98,000.
Wow.
I said, oh boy. I said, there's nothing I can help you before. Now that's after and before. So, but I have a restaurant that we're working on, believe it or not. Just increased not as sales because when you sell a steak, you need to know the history of the steak. When you sell a coffee, you need to know the
Of
history of
course.
coffee. And that's where we start educating people what things need to be done.
Yeah, you educate the
What
servers, where it came from, what farm it came from, if it's local. Yeah, and
exactly.
that's how they have to talk about the menu. They have to bring them through
That,
a whole journey of the menu. Yeah,
and we were talking, and we know cutting costs is something, cross selling, upselling, and there's downselling. And we start educating those people. If you wanna talk about numbers, there is a slightly 5 to 10% increase on every check. I will tell you something happened. We were opening. I was working with a sushi place, and they wanted to open another sushi place. So we started this briefing, a pre-shift meeting, vibe meeting, whatever the terminology you wanna say it. So I used to come every night and say, look, folks, another roll, another dollar, another roll, another dollar. We boosted just for those another roll, another dollar forwards. We boosted the menu. The roll is like $3 to $6. If every customer has average check $25, now it jumped to 28 to $30, $31. The tips will jump out for 18% from whatever to whatever.
hmm
End of the day will jump out from whatever to whatever. We increased almost 6% on sales. Just another roll, another dollar. When we moved to the new restaurant, we opened in a high population area, very beautiful location. It's one of the places near the ocean. We start working the first day, 17 to $18,000. By Friday, I wouldn't close the door before we get $25,000, and we
wow,
never beat it less than $27,000.
wow,
Just
amazing.
another or another dollar. I
Yeah,
know now numbers is different because all what happening around, the gas has jumped to dollars, so
yeah. Now they want to look
there's
at the
no
numbers, right? Now they want to know.
yes.
Yeah,
So another roll, another dollar. Okay. Ask people for extra. Make sure the problem people doesn't know the difference between upselling and cross-selling. Okay, upselling, yes. You go to McDonald's. I don't know why I don't eat McDonald's, but McDonald's is our topic today. When you go for extra fries or extra Coke or soft drinks and you increase the combo or you upgrade the size, that's upselling. Cross selling, when you add the apple pie, when you add the ice cream, when you add something on the menu that can go along with it so you can move forward. From
absolutely.
$10 can jump to 12, $13. That's 30% increase. It will not happen in every customer, every transaction, but at least, let's say, if you're lucky, you got 50, 60%, that's 15% increase.
Of course, of course. Yeah,
And who does that? The manager, not the manager you hired, and he doesn't know what you're in your brain because again, he doesn't have the magic word.
yeah, exactly. My success story is I had this. It was a chicken place, and the guy had I think he had 11 locations, but he was doing, uh, I think $12 million a year total on all locations, and he was doing everything right, and he knew all his numbers, he knew everything, and he's like, "I'm just not making money. I don't know why I'm not making money at these locations." He's like, "I don't know what's going on. I'm not making money." And we did through the we he was doing the easy cater, he was doing the catering, he was doing the Grubhub, the DoorDash. Everything was perfect. The labor, he knew all his labor costs. He knew everything. And are we doing inventory? He's like, no, I can't figure out inventory. I can't figure it out. I'm like, we got to start doing inventory. He was stalling for months and months. Finally, we're doing inventory, like no matter what. So we did inventory and we found the leak was French fries. Everything came with French fries. Everything. They were over portioning French fries in all the locations combined. It was $13,000 they saved a month in French fries. $13,000. That was from over portioning French fries. That was the only thing that they weren't portioning. They were portioning the vegetables,
Everything.
the meat. They were making the bread in the house. Everything was portioned perfectly except the French fries. Everybody's eyeballing the French fries. Everybody in
Wow.
all 11 locations.
You remind me of Burger King of the fries. Whenever I go visit one of my locations that days, I used to go to the freezer and count how many boxes of fries they have. Because if you have 8 and your par level is 6, there's something wrong.
Yeah, yeah. Yep, yep, yeah. Um, so okay, so if any owner right now is listening, the margins are shrinking, labor costs, we know they're climbing. We talked about this before the call. They're exhausted and they'll tell you, I'm just gonna push through another Mother's Day. I had a client that I just signed up and they're like, no, Mother's Day, I'll have more money in the bank after. And I'm like, that's in like 3 weeks. What are we gonna do until then? And they're like, well, it's Mother's Day, and then we're gonna get into like graduation time, and then after graduation, we're gonna get into start doing weddings, and then it'll be Thanksgiving, and then we're gonna start doing the Christmas. So he's waiting for like the next thing to come, which it comes, but then you still don't have money in the bank. Al, what do you say to people like this? Like, what do you tell them when they tell you this?
Look, those people are hustler, you know, and
Absolutely,
and
they're
I'm
survivalists.
proud.
Yeah,
Yes, and I'm proud from their work ethics, from and Miami operators specifically. They are culturally proud, and this is hard work is part of their stuff. So, and they wait and they wait and they wait. You know, it's not easy to be out of money, but at the end, you need to control your expenses. You need to sit down, do your projection, do your budget. I'm working with a customer who never had a hierarchical or organization chart in his company. And I said, what is X, Y, and Z does that A doesn't do it? That's different. It's not different. And whenever people are trying to push from a limit to other limit, it's not easy. It's not, it's a pressure. It's a pressure. They need to start documenting their sales. They need to start working on their busy hours. They need to start working to see where is the money. Today, a friend of mine, he was posting on LinkedIn, and that's almost exactly what he said. And he said his customer doesn't want to do brunch on Mother's Day. He want to do a regular menu, or not a regular menu, something that is not working out. And when he asked him, "Hey, why you don't want to do brunch?" He said, "Oh, I don't have time to crack 200 eggs for 200 people on a Mother's Day. That everybody wants an omelette." And that's the problem. We don't know what the customer are needed, and this is where you know it's a pressure. And I believe everybody has this pressure on COVID. And some area COVID was good, some area COVID was disaster. And the operator who survived COVID, they need to know how they can cross train their staff and know their numbers and make sure improve during crisis, because crisis will always be there. And it will be election, it will be flood, it will be tornado, it will be hurricane, it will be winter, it will be summer, it will be whatever.
yeah, yeah. And
There are
and
always crises.
whoever's listening, I hear this all the time, and if whoever's listening and they're saying, "But my restaurant's different," I hear this constantly. My restaurant's different, but it's not going to work in my restaurant because it's different. Like, how many times have you heard this? Right? So your restaurant's not different. Everybody has the same problems in every single restaurant, whether you're making $10 million or $500,000. Everybody has the same stresses. Trust me. Like I've seen it in there. I've coached people like this, and everybody has the same. With that being said, Al, put a number on it. If a restaurant's doing $1 million a year, how much does it actually cost them to go a year without a restaurant coach? What do you think it's going to cost in revenue, in profit?
Million is the sweet spot. Let me make the math more harder. Let's go for 1.5 million. Okay. So they are above the sweet spot. They're making money. They're happy. They're moving on. We talk 5 to 7%. Okay. Let's do the math. The average is 6%. That's what also on the table. End of the year is $90,000. As simple as that. And
Yeah,
if you don't save $100,000 by the end of the year, that means I didn't do my job. But $100,000 a year, I can save you today any restaurant, and
that's
I'm
easy.
not
Yeah,
bragging. I'm not doing anything. Okay, without spending penny on marketing or anything else. Yes, I can save you $100,000 per year.
yeah, and that's the
But
truth.
people,
I've
people
yeah,
come. Yeah, people come. Oh, you'll make me $100,000. I said no. You will not make an extra 100,000. You will save an extra 100,000. That
100%.
is 3 times what you are paying.
Yeah, and that's and it sounds we're saying it right now, and people are like, oh, they're full of crap. But that's the easy part. That's literally the easy part. When they start making more revenue and putting more butts in the seat, it's going to be even more than that. And they're not going to be working as much. They're not going to be working in the restaurant as much either.
You know, Mike, and we all experience this one. There's always some connection between front of the house or back of the house. Okay. If I give you a Red Bull, you would give me a burger. $3 here, $6 here, that's $9, $10. I'm not gonna go 365 days a year. I'm gonna go 250 times a year. That's how much? Simple.
Yeah. All right,
So
Al, lightning round. Let's do these really quick answers to these questions. Okay. All right.
yes,
So I'm interested. Burger King or Popeyes? Just give me one answer. Who was harder
burger.
to work with, Burger King or
Oh
Popeyes?
no, Popeyes. Sorry,
Popeyes.
I love Burger King more, but Popeyes is the harder because you deal with fresh chicken.
Yeah, yeah, and the frying oil and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay. So, what's the first thing you notice when you walk into a struggling restaurant or a restaurant that needs help?
customers. You know, people are waiting to talk to someone or waiting for their food or waiting for ketchup or fork or even a napkin.
Okay.
You know, because who open your appetite is the customers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You look
Okay.
at what people eating and oh, what they're eating. Oh, can I have this one? Oh, I will order this French toast, whatever.
Okay. What number should every owner know every single day? What what number?
Bottom line,
Bottom line. Okay. Okay. What's the biggest mistake us as coaches make with their clients?
we let them go.
What about accountability? What about that?
Look, accountability, yes, but we let them go because of accountability, because they don't listen. They don't want to listen.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
insisting on what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot help you anymore.
Yeah.
I better shake hand, depart friends.
So what's one thing you wish you knew when you opened up your first restaurant?
Not to open a restaurant.
It's a great answer. Okay. All right. So, okay, last question. Every
Yes,
restaurant owner needs a restaurant coach because go ahead.
because it's hard to start with a restaurant without guidance, without everything. You have a mentor. I have a mentor. We're in school. We have mentor. In business, we have mentor. We have CPAs. We have lawyers. We have all kind of stuff. But again, someone spent $4 million in a restaurant, but did not spend training their employees, and he doesn't know, they doesn't know or have the knowledge, or never been in a restaurant. How they generate money? What's your return on investment?
Yeah. Yep. Al, this
Hygiene and
was
sanitation. Start from there.
Al, this was great. Thank you for coming. Totally appreciate it. You're such a amazing man. And
Thank
I'm so glad I met you and that we connected. This is exactly the conversation that I wanted to like kick the show off with. Exactly. And you're the perfect man to do this with.
Michael. If we talk like every week,
Yeah, yeah.
almost. And when the week passed, and I knew you were in the Caribbean, I said, "Where the hell is Mike? Why he didn't call?" And then I see text message the next day. I said, "Okay, yeah, he was in the Caribbean."
Yeah. So Al's a restaurant coach. I'm a restaurant coach. You guys know where to find us. I'm going to put Al's information in the notes, in the description. I'm going to put his link, all his information everywhere. So you guys can get a hold of Al, get a hold of me. And listen, if there's something that I can't help you with, I'm going to send you to Al and, vice versa. But we all work together. We just bounce ideas off each other. But 100%, if you're listening in your restaurant, you need a restaurant coach. You need an advisor. You need someone that made all the mistakes and talks to all the restaurants that have made mistakes that are similar to yours. And it's just great knowledge to have. It's a great person to have on your side. So think of us as partners. Don't think of us as you're hiring us to do a job for you. Like we work together, and it's a very personal job. Don't you agree, Al? It's very personal. Like after 2 or 3 months, you really develop a relationship with your clients. Like you want them to succeed. I want everybody to succeed. Everybody.
There I was setting tables on the ground with my customers, so it's personalized, and we're here to help. You can call us anytime, and we're there to give you the answer. You know, no string attached.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, guys, connect with Al. Link, like I said, is in all the show notes. If you guys want to start, hit us up, and we're going to be here for you guys. Okay, so we'll see you on the next one. And this was a great #1 podcast. Thanks, Al. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, bro.